Hey there, family. Dr. Eric and Jillian here.
Welcome, everyone.
And did you bring enough for everyone?
Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, it's one of those Amy soups.
Great.
Love I like the Amy chilies.
Yeah.
Hi, Simon. Nice to see you again. And for those of you who did have an opportunity to read a little bit of Simon's experience, which we did, it was such a gorgeous share. Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Simon. Your presence is just such a lovely contribution. Really awesome that you're here with us. All right. So I was just talking briefly with Alejandro and Barbara and Justin at the tail end, just a little bit about what the Live and Love is today. And in the first instance, the topic title for today, or just kind of the discussion title, pointing out what is already there.
Not to be confused with pointing out the obvious, because they're not necessarily one and the same.
Not at all. And and I thought just to take a moment, because we are really moving through a lot of themes that are so rich and layered, and yet they're just like these little petals on a big sunflower that fall off, and then there's more behind them and more behind them. So just in terms of a recap, I want to say for ourselves, as well as for this group of friends we've just been observing, the month theme here, the month of March theme being the nature of happiness, has really been an interesting observation. And it's created for many a lot of triggers. This is bouncing around.
Sorry. Trying to clear the screen here, but it won't clear. So, okay.
It's created a lot of triggers and in kind of looking at how a title like that might bring up so many things. We really recognize that this idea of happiness is something that I think we do tend to just sort of take for granted as if it's something we're just going to seek out as part of existence. And so to look at it from this perspective of it always being there, it being the nature of our being, is really tricky for the separate self and for really the ego or the part of us that likes to be in recognition of itself. So in a recap, we started out looking at this theme through states and feelings, which would be I think in a way, the most familiar, right? Mm-hmm. It's the most familiar to us. We probably, for the most part, might even associate the entirety of happiness in the frame of a state or a feeling or a memory or a sensation, all related experience. So we looked at it, and I would encourage you to go back. We're going to play with that a little bit on Saturday or on Sunday as well in the global retreat. And then to just pin it a little harder, as we said, well, guess what? A state and a feeling to define happiness wouldn't necessarily carry that limitation in terms of the reconnective healing experience. It certainly would not be the investigation we're doing around it. So we said, all right, what would be a question to explore that more deeply? And again, we moved into, is the opposite of happiness unhappiness? And we had to really look at that outside of the parameters of it being a state of feeling and either this or that.
Basically discovering that it is not the opposite. And that's a key thing, because we tend to jump on an absence of something and view it as an opposite of something.
But in this case, the discovery was that the nature of unhappiness would simply be the slight obscuration or the limitation.
Of happiness.
Yeah. So it couldn't be the opposite.
No. So, and it's not necessarily in this case the absence of either. It's an
Right.
obscuration. And at first glance, since today is talking about pointing out what's already there, at first glance is that we tend to think of them as being synonymous, an absence of an opposite and an obscuration. And so it's really important we allow ourselves to explore, to observe. And part of what allows us to be observation is our awareness. And what allows our awareness clarity is not introducing
More
bias. Well, I was going to say not introducing judgment. All right. In other words, we are awareness. And when we are simply in awareness, we're in observation. When we're in judgment, we've sort of left the expansiveness of awareness to view it through the filter of judgment and personality.
And I'm going to
Ego.
suggest that judgment, since again, that's another trigger word. It's used so haphazardly in so many different ways to say so
Right.
many different things. We might just consider it agenda free, without any agenda, just simply the revelation, revelare, to lay bare openly, fully open, without any agenda. So that's an interesting concept, again, especially when we then moved into relationships and happiness, because that just dug up a ton of sand and maybe dirt. It was definitely another layer to look at, needing nothing from another to be happiness itself. And that's just another layer. It's another petal. So this isn't the beginning or the ending to this theme. It never will be. But we thought today to kind of merge into bringing our attention to this idea of pointing out what's already there. And I want to say that just on the heels of this, I got this crazy post from someone in another country.
We won't mention which one.
It is not important, but he was sort of laughing at this correspondence with me, and he wrote, "Know thyself!" exclamation point. That's it. Those are the instructions, exclamation point. And then lovingly, as if it was signed, energy, light, and information, and God, love, infinite intelligence. And I thought, okay, that's kind of direct. That's it. Those are the instructions. So we thought to jump into the title today from that sort of, I'm going to say, correspondence, pointing out what's already there. So to begin to open this door, we want to address the idea of what we already are, and that this has two very broad meanings depending on where you're observing. From the level of relative perception, it refers to the natural forms that our individual expression takes. It's our true, authentic, individual self, right? And that's our embodied, I, Jillian, Chelsea, Alejandro, Cecilia. It's an expression that makes us look and feel different from other people. And that's a very important observation, relative perception. our individual expression is what makes me look and feel different from others. So from the level of the absolute, let's say what we already are, and I'm going to say that takes a lot of courage to look at the absolute. You know, Eric said to be in observation. To be in observation takes some courage.
It does. It also is, I mean, we can look at the first thing. We talked about relative perception, individual expressions, what really allows ourselves to see ourselves as different, as individual. And then there's a part that sort of wants to creep in and whisper and go, pss, 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 but we're all one and the same. So maybe that's not really good or the best or the highest. And that's where we want to pull that part of the personality out and say, can I simply be in awareness of this? Can I simply be in observation of it without judging it about good or bad or more desirable or less desirable? Because this allows us to have a higher cognitive awareness, and I don't know that higher is the best word. I'd love to find one without judgment, obviously, but it allows, in a sense, more travel in that particular discovery. And I kind of appreciate that traveling into me and who I am and how I'm viewing things. And I would tend to cut that off if I remained in certain levels of judgment, more desirable, less desirable.
So from the level of the absolute, what we already are, this would refer to, I'm going to say, the non-conceptual, always already true nature that is neither self nor no self. And it's also not different from the natural forms of our, or the natural form that our individual expression takes on. So just digest that. To kind of refer to our true nature or the non-conceptual before it's been assigned content, before it becomes qualified. You keep hearing us use this. The always already true nature that is neither the self or no self. It is also not different from the natural forms of the individual expression that we take on. So in other words, it's always there. It's always there. It's there amidst everything that is expressed through the individual self. And we think of the simplicity of that, you know, when, well, I'm going to use this example later. We do this actually very easily when we're addressing those that we love, like our children or our animals. We are in this recognition that whatever individual expression might be emerging as the activity of them, that we are not limited to knowing them beyond that expression. There is sort of a, you know, a giving of the benefit of knowing that there's something already there beyond that outburst or that moment of a feeling or a memory. Like we recognize that, but it's sometimes a little difficult to observe it when it's our own self-inquiry. Anyway, we've explored these sort of varied pathways, but in the core, we've looked at what is the root sense of separation here, the fundamental conflict in these elements between two apparently separate entities.
And do focus on the word apparently.
Yes.
It's very key.
What is that? And you make a few notes for yourself. This is, again, we're exploring this. We would do this in a guided conversation, but we don't really have time in the Live and Love to do that.
No.
So we're going to present it this way. So once those two apparently separate entities fall away, which is what happens in a reconnective healing experience, some dissolving of the otherness that you would call the individual self in a way, releases, softens, becomes less apparent. And once it falls away, the relationship ceases to be a relationship between two entities in a way, trying to derive love from one another. You do this again with your animals. You do it in the innate return to your true nature when forgiveness is what you're seeking. It's built in. It's already there. It is the automatic built-in part of the mechanism called the body-mind.
Miriam was commenting on what we were just speaking about, as saying that it's something that she became very aware of during the retreat in which we went to different past and future lives and concepts and that.
Yeah. So and I'm going to make the statement because this is about the nature of happiness this month. This falling away between two entities deriving love from one another paves the way for the expression of love and intimacy, happiness, whether it doesn't matter whether it's two that are not two coming together, or the self and as this individual expression, or what we refer to as the no self coming together. Either way, it is where intimacy and love are known, always. So I want to just share something that is Harry with us today in our Live and Love? Okay,
Yes.
good. Harry, I'm going to share something you posted, which was, oh, hold on.
How about right before we share it?
Oh, okay.
We have to say goodbye to you YouTubers, and this is so beautiful. We're sorry we're not able to share this with you today, but if you go down to the link, you can come join us. You can join us at the RLC. It's free for the first month. It is a subscription, but it's free for the first month. And join us at the retreats. There are links in the chat for you. Okay. So in particular, we're having a retreat on Sunday. Check the link in the chat.
Yeah. Click away. Bye. It was fun having you. Okay. Harry, I want to share this. So Harry had posted this, and again, it touched us in a way because it was in a sense pointing out what is already there. So let me read Harry's piece. From being peace, war seems useless. From being timeless, being in a hurry doesn't make sense. From being joy, seriousness seems funny. From being freedom, control and manipulation seem powerless. From being everywhere,
Hey there, family. Dr. Eric and Jillian here.
welcome everyone.
And we're very excited about Reconnective Life, our first online global community. This is the most exciting way we've been able to get together since I founded the Reconnection. It'll be a place where we can do things together. We'll move into breakout rooms at times when that's appropriate. We'll have energy interactions and meditations and exercises. In other words, expect things you haven't seen before.
You are so charged.
Things we
He is so lit about every new way we get to be together every day. Just be together. Let us just speak a little bit about what is going to be the shape of this community.
In this community, we can share and discover more. Here we can talk to each other, we can chat, we can learn from and about one another. Jillian, me, our life leaders, and you will be in daily conversation with you. Weekly, we will have Facebook Lives.
We will be with you every Wednesday. Sometimes it'll be just Eric. On occasion, it might just be me. Sometimes it'll be the two of us. It's all about giving you a way to look at the week living in the frequencies.
And in every fourth week, we will include a live Q&A so we can talk about things that have been coming up for us, discuss back and forth, share, grow, expand together.
And the ever-growing library of content that has been created over 20 years that will be on demand for you. It will be on-demand content for you to view, enjoy, share again with your inner circle.
And monthly, we are going to have live Zoom retreats. We're going to bring in some exercises and experiences and things that previously we've reserved for our physical retreats, you know, when we were in the different location resorts and things. And we're modifying them so that we can work with these with you in your home, in your living room, in your den. Put into the chat line, what is facility? We're having these weekly Zoom in-depth Q&As.
Finally, we have a place and space to just define what does that really mean living in the frequencies.
This is something that is in all of us.
Everyone can do this.
It doesn't matter how many levels you've gone through or how well you know the programs. It's a community that allows us to recognize how interrelated we all are as receivers of energy, light, and information.
See you there.
Reconnective Life, living in the frequencies every day.